that you don't support the strikes?
Two reasons mainly. Firstly, we do deserve a pay rise. We absolutely do. But so do the police, so do teachers, so do social workers, so do people on minimum wage. Okay? The first reason I wouldn't go on strike, the pandemic. We've got a massive backlog of people. Is it nearly 7 million people we've got to see? If I go on strike for one day, that's 4 patients of mine that I won't get to see that day. And the second reason, which I think is the most important, striking won't change anything. All we're going to do is end up looking really greedy, like the MPs did back in March when they awarded themselves, £2,200 extra pay rise, a year. So no, and I also think while there's a Tory government in place, there's not a chance that any public sector pay workers will get any pay rise in line with inflation. It's as simple as that. It is what it is.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of things, obviously the pandemic and the fact that if you do strike, when you guys get back to work, it'll be even more demanding. But what's your thoughts? Because a lot of people would say that perhaps you're being, in a sense, taken advantage of because this is the situation. And so what action can you take other than striking?
Right. I've got an idea, and I wish everybody would do this. We need to make a massive protest. Every single NHS worker that can get to London on a certain date and protest, and anybody that works in the public sector, that's the way to change things. Get noticed, barrage your local MP with complaints about pay, get them realising that the Tories, this is, that they've got so many people in this country that don't like them and won't vote for them simply because of the way that they're treating people. I mean, that 45 pence pay thing with the getting the rich richer. When they did that, I was nearly on the ceiling. But when they reduced that, I did think, oh, well, fair enough, they've listened. So they do listen. And that in itself's proved that they do listen. It's not backtracking. It's listening to the public. So there's lots of things we could do. And I think we've gone from initial disagreement about pay to fight without the conflict resolution bit in the middle. We need to do that. And this is part of the conflict resolution.
Well, that's the bit that the unions are supposed to do before the strike. I presume that's they already are suggesting that you may want to strike and, suggesting it might be a good idea.
Yeah. I actually got a paper through from Unison the other day, and they are doing the same. They're asking if we want to strike. I'll get shot down in flames. I know I will, by a lot of nurses, that are going on strike. I don't even know if some of my colleagues are going on strike, but they might see this and, they'll think, why is she saying that? It's the pandemic. There's nearly 7 million people waiting. Is that not enough? I know we're backed into a corner and there's nothing we can do about it at the minute. I think we need to wait for 2 years and see what happens and then go for the pay rise.
So you would say, briefly, that nurses should be allowed to strike. Do you think it should be
should be allowed to strike, yeah. But the thing is, they're not. If every single nurse said, right, we're off, bye, we're striking, within 30 seconds we'd get what we want. What is the point in some nurses going on strike and a skeleton staff to manage little outcomes that might happen that day? That's not going to change anything. We're just going to end up looking really, really greedy.
Well, Julia, listen, thank you so much for your thoughts. We appreciate you coming on to tell us that. That's Julia Taylor. She's a psychiatric nurse.